there's all kinds of this is a great point. I've seen memes where you'll see on Facebook someone post a picture of a guy with his daughters and they're holding a gun. And you're like, oh, that's great, it's American dream. And then they'll post then there's another one, if you have a problem with this picture, then you're racist. And it's a black guy holding an AR-15 and his daughters are all holding AR-15s, right? And there are like 3 of them. And it's really poised to trigger the mindset to see, why do some people have a problem with that? And we're not talking about necessarily, if you're a gun nut like me, I'm like, they're both great. That's awesome. But where does society get the notion that if you're black, you can't support gun rights? Or why has one political ideology, and let's call it what it is, Democrats, it was Republicans who said, hey, you should, free land, free labor. It's Democrats who pass legislation to go ahead and take away your right and want to hoodwink you into and bamboozle you into giving your right up by saying, oh, you're a victim and I'm going to help you out by taking away guns from everyone. The idea, it's a fascinating idea to say that because of my skin color and my desire to want to have a gun for whatever purpose it is, that how did we, and I'm talking we as black people, get indoctrinated into the belief that things that we used to do in the South all the time, go hunting for food, I don't care what culture, and heck, back to your homeland, wherever it is, hunt, fish, whatever, gather, is something to be frowned down upon. And they'll say, well, Rupert, you don't need 30 cartridges. Well, if you're a bad shot, maybe you do. But for those of us who can shoot better than that, why is there? What does the limit have to do with anything? What is the color? Don't black guns matter too? What does the color of a gun have to do with anything? I stand fascinated at how people have been programmed to accept racism, even when it's against yourself. When it's the predominance of Republican white guys are saying everybody should have a gun. They're not saying just white guys, just white women. And to say to a woman, if you truly believe that men are out to kill you, or if you're black and you truly believe every cop is out there trying to kill you, the solution is take away your right to defend yourself, take away the gun? That's going to fix it? I don't believe that. I don't believe every cop is out there scared of me and he's trying to kill me. I think that you have some programming still going on to allow you to believe that, black man with a gun bad, white guy with a gun good. They're just dudes with a gun. That's it. I don't know. That's me. That's an interesting one. Why is that? And, or the misnomer that if you're walking carrying a gun openly that, it's not registered or whatever the excuse is. I find it deeply troubling in our society. And, beyond that, it's not troubling. It's freaking scary. Because we are willingly allowing them to turn the heat up in the pot. The water's boiling. And I'm looking around saying, I'm jumping out now, and looking back, and people are still saying, no, turn the temperature up. We're not dead yet. Get out the water. Open your minds up. They're slowly turning the heat up to the point that you're not even willing to fight for your own right to survive. And this is a tyrannical government that's out to take away your rights so they can finish their work. And that's complete control, and you can't fight back. And it's too late when they take your guns to say, if only I had kept my gun, this, that, and the other. You're taking away the guns from the good guys. The bad guys who stole their weapons will still have them. They're not giving them up. When I hear the argument of young people who are voting and out of college or whatever, and they're saying, hey, Democrats are just being reasonable. They just want safer communities and more laws and regulations will make it better. Well, how did that work out with marijuana? How did that work out with prohibition with alcohol? How did the war on drugs work out? Well, here's what the war on drugs did. We had a candidate, Joe Biden, who pushed for three strikes laws, which decimated black communities. And you had prosecutors like Kamala Harris, who, no different than the Central Park 5 prosecutor, went after black and brown men tenaciously, and even with DNA evidence to exonerate them, still wouldn't release them from jail. And two of them are on death row, or were on death row. California just settled a lawsuit for one of them for over $11 million. Because even despite the evidence and her love of the three strikes legislation, that Joe Biden said, we did everything but lock people up for jaywalking. That's the vitriol that man had towards black people, comparing schools to jungles, that why he didn't want to believe in desegregating schools. That man is a closet racist. And if you're a young adult, you've got Google. Get the information yourself. Do your research. The fix is not restricting the rights of people to have guns. The fix is taking care of the actual issue why people have guns. They're trying to defend themselves. If I'm in a community and almost all the bad guys have guns, I want to protect myself from one of the bad guys, or I'm going to be dead. So you want to take away my gun when I went and bought it legally from the guy who's a menace to society? No, unleash the police officers to do their jobs and go after these people who are doing illegal activities and allow me to freely move about in my community. Taking away my guns, you're going to lock grandma in her house for the rest of her life? She can't come out now. She's being terrorized. How is that protecting her? I mean, young people, old, whatever, the issue is, now this goes back takes it all the way out to like economics. The jobs aren't there. The guns came in. Bring in the jobs, the corporations, the factories, allow free market principles to work. I don't need a gun. It's interesting. I've lived in inner city neighborhoods where I had to lock my door, put the padlock, get a Rottweiler, all of that stuff. Sometimes I forget to lock my door now in the community I live in. Why is that? And that's because there I had to protect myself. The community I'm in now, I don't have to. You think of one community, Kennesaw, Georgia. I think the average for Kennesaw, Georgia is 7 guns per household. They also don't have any burglaries. Why is that? Because burglars know there's a chance one person may have 14 guns, one person may have 1, but the chance of you getting shot is almost guaranteed. Don't do it. It's a deterrent. Just because you have a gun doesn't mean you have to use it. And how do you look your spouse in the eyes? God forbid someone does break into your home. A friend of mine, I remember someone broke into their friend of a friend. Guy was high on PCP, whatever. Banging on his household door. Banging on the windows, let me in. Clearly, drunk, drugs, whatever. He rushes up the steps with his wife and kids, grabs a kitchen knife. He's yelling, "Get out! This is the wrong house. I'm calling the police." His wife is telling the kids to hide in the bedroom. The guy comes crashing through the window. Eventually, the police show up as the guy is about to start coming up the steps. He's sitting there with a knife in his hand. Mind you, this guy was liberal, don't believe in guns in the household. And he told my buddy the look his wife gave him the next day. And she was like, "I just don't feel safe here." She was saying, "I don't feel safe with you." He went and bought a gun that day. God, I hope he never has to use it. But he could have lost his entire family because of his ideology. As opposed to, I don't know what other right you have as a parent but then to protect your children. I really appreciate the opportunity afforded to me to be able to speak and share my perspective. Please visit the National Association for Gun Rights.org to become a member today. If you are a member, thank you so much. And please share this video with some of your friends, and hopefully we can get the word out on how we fix racism in this country. And part of that is doing away with red flag, gun confiscation type laws, or better yet, Jim Crow type legislation. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. God bless you all.